Hey there, folks. So typically we do a guest speaker on a Friday, but I'm gone today, so I figured it'd be a good lesson to do while I'm gone. One thing I'll tell you about the guest speaker is we're looking for one written page, one whole page written out. Make sure you go all the way to the margin. Don't space out your words too much. I know all the tricks of the trade. Don't try to pull them on me. So we're looking at one full page. It's always going to be due schools tomorrow. So the following day, we're at school. Usually this is on a Friday, so usually it's due on Monday. Now, what are you writing there? Well, about half of it should be your reaction to content. So, how do you feel about what they're talking about? Um, you give your reaction to what the substance of the speech is. The other half is about their performance. So we're looking at hands, feet, tone, rate, things of that nature. How good of a speaker are they? Are there things that you saw that they did well? Or are there things that they could improve upon? Something to think about. And yes, you do need to have good writing in there. You do need to watch your spelling, check your grammar, use punctuation. This is 10th grade, so yeah, make sure you do that. Uh, Speeches can get fairly long, so just write notes during the speech, and then write your actual guest speaker after. I will typically give 10 to 20 minutes in class for you to take care of that, which should be enough time for you to get through a page. Now, all that being said, our first speech is actually by Abraham Lincoln, and they didn't have video cameras back then. So, because it is a written speech, I will let you do that. Let's call for a half page this first time, but every other guest speaker after this is going to be a whole page. So, but just a half page this time. And so, how do you write about like his performance? Well, we're going to have to base it on his words and his word choice and where he goes with this word choice. Um, yeah, I want you to think about who and what was going on with Abraham Lincoln at the time and how that had an impact on his speech and what he says. So I will also give you some background information as we start. Uh, the background information is not the speech itself. So don't fill up your guest speaker with background information because me catching up to speed and putting you a spot in history is not the speech itself. And we're trying to look at the speech itself. A reminder of what guest speakers are for. Guest speakers are for us to see other people speaking and try to take some notes from them and figure out how we can be better speakers like them. Now, I will give you some background notes on the actual Abraham Lincoln speech. One thing you can do at this point, though, is take out your digital textbooks, go to my website, go to 10th grade, go to readings, and then I want you to click on Abraham Lincoln, Gettysburg Address. So I'll go through these notes at the top of this before we get going on the actual speech. The speech is listed on this page, and I'll read it with you and do some 1800s English translation. But let's take a look at some of these notes. So it says here that Abraham Lincoln was born February 12th, 1809, and he died a untimely death on April 15th, 1865, when he was shot by John Wilkes Booth. This is going to take part in the Civil War. The Civil War ran from 1861 to 1865. Specifically, the Gettysburg Address, which is the speech we're going to consume. The Gettysburg Address is about the Battle of Gettysburg, which took place July 1st through the 3rd in 1863. It was the battle with the most casualties, 46 to 51,000 dead. Uh, and you know how warm it is here in the middle of July. Can you imagine having that many corpses lying around? And I'm not trying to be rude here, but ultimately, that's a health hazard. It stinks. It is cool to allow soldiers who gave their life to sit out there in that field. So they realized they had to do something quick. They needed to bury the bodies. And so what this speech is Abraham Lincoln dedicating this graveyard to not just the Northern soldiers that he commanded, but to the Southern soldiers too, who he saw as Americans. So, how do you be the head of the army on one side, yet the president for both sides, and say that in the speech without stepping over lines? I think Abraham Lincoln did a good job at that during the speech. Uh, Gettysburg was considered the turning point of the war. After that point, the North won most of those battles. The Northern general for Gettysburg was General Meade. The Southern general at the time was General Lee. He eventually turned into a car. You don't get that joke. Okay. Minnesota soldiers are notably known for holding Little Round Top. It was a key offensive hill in the battle, and specifically, some of those Minnesotans that held Little Round Top were the Renville Rangers from right around these parts. So, that is kind of the background information to get you into a spot. Now I'm going to actually read the speech to you. I will stop periodically and we'll talk about what is in here. So, half a page is what we're looking at. Take notes first. You'll have time after this. And if you don't have time after this, I'm going to make you write your speech out anyway. So, uh, let's look at this speech. 4 score and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth to on this continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Okay, couple things right off the bat. 1863 is the year this was done. A score is 20 years. 4 score, 4 times 20 is 80 plus 7, 87 years. 1863 minus 87, 1776. So this is a reference to the founding of the nation. So this was just a short 86 years after the beginning of the nation that here we are having a civil war. Here we are talking it out and having, well, fighting it out and having issues already. So this is going to be concern of Abraham Lincoln's speech. He says that just short 87 years ago, our founding fathers sat down and created a country that was dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Back at it. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. This was new. This democratic experimentation, having a democracy was new. We didn't know if it would work or not. They didn't know if it was going to last. And so here we were, less than 100 years into our country, trying to decide whether this would work or not. And he said that the Civil War was a test to that. We are met on the great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who gave their lives that this nation might live. Interesting tactic, right? He's not saying just the North did it or just the South did it. He's saying, look, everybody that died on this field, whether North or South, all 46 to 51,000, they all died to maintain the country. They all died for their ideals of the country. Um, he's being a leader to both sides now. He's not just rooting for the North. He's saying that, look, everybody that died here died so that they would have an ideal country, that they were fighting for the ideals of the country. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this, that we should lay them to rest in a dignified place. But in a larger sense, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. In other words, make the ground special. There's nothing that I can do to make this ground more special than it is. And we'll see why in a second. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. So, who made this ground special were the people that fought for the country, the people that died and fought on this ground. The world will little know nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. So he says it's up to the people that are the audience of his speech to keep fighting for that country, keep maintaining this democracy, keep what all the soldiers that died at Gettysburg fought for, maintaining the country. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. He says we should take a lesson from those who have died fighting for this country, and we should take an increased devotion to help maintain that country, that we should go out of our way to make sure those people that died at this battlefield did not die in vain, to make sure that this country does no longer cease to exist, that we should fight and stand up for the country in order to honor the soldiers that have died here battling for it. So there it is, the Gettysburg Address. Classic piece of speech. Now it's your turn. You have to write half a page on this speech. Remember, we're shooting for half of it on content, half of it on speech performance. So have that written up and ready for me when I return tomorrow on Friday. So we'll see you.